the people who think they're like really smart, they get their advice from a coach and then they go, I think that's good, but I know how to make that better. Whereas the people who win, they get the advice from the coach and then they do it all exactly as they are told because the coach knows it.
So you have a passion for fitness and the desire to start your own business, but launching a massively successful fitness business is extremely complex. The systems, operations, hiring, firing, coaching, sales, and marketing are critical to success. Where do you even start? This show will give you the answers. Here is Bedros Keuilian and Bryce Henson, your hosts of the Fitness Franchise Podcast, a show dedicated to helping fitness entrepreneurs launch and grow successful gyms.
Welcome back, friends, to another amazing episode. And before we get to today's show, I want to encourage you to give us a like and subscribe on YouTube and write us an awesome review on iTunes. That way we can keep producing this content for you for free. So to introduce today's guest, who's a friend and mentor of mine, who's also known as the most disciplined man in the world, even though he was born lazy and introverted with crippling panic attacks. Now, he built Turbulence Training, his fitness business, to over 151,000 customers and over 15 million YouTube visits. He also owns earlytorise.com, and his first book, The Perfect Day Formula, has helped over 35,000 high performers own their day and take back their life. Now, today, Craig coaches entrepreneurs to make more money and work less by using techniques in his Wall Street Journal bestseller, Unstoppable, and his new book, The Perfect Week Formula. Craig Ballantyne, welcome to the show, my friend.
Dude, this is going to be awesome.
All right, well, we've been trying to get this on the books for a while. Super excited we're here. Before we jump into value, we'd love to hear the backstory.
Yeah, so grew up in Canada, grew up on a farm, wanted to be a strength and conditioning coach in the National Hockey League. Did you know that?
I did not.
Okay, so that was the thing that I wanted to be. I knew that pretty early on because I couldn't play in the league. Just a Canadian boy, loved hockey. And so got into that and then was going to school and was like, okay, got to get a kinesiology degree or exercise science. And then, got to become a strength coach, but you got to become a personal trainer before that. So I did the personal training thing. And I realized pretty quickly that I'd much rather sit behind a keyboard and write and talk about that stuff. Just before this, you and I were talking about the newsletter that I still send every Saturday.
Yep.
So I write thousands of words a week, and I loved it. And so I started writing an email newsletter back in 1999.
Okay.
I had, at one point, Bryce, I had 3,000 email names in a Word document that I would copy and paste and send out. So I would send out an email newsletter. So email newsletters are the bomb. Email newsletter in 1999, I sent it out to 3,000 people through a Hotmail account, but you could only send it out to 50 people at a time. It took me an hour and 15 minutes to send it to every of those 60 groups of 50 people.
Nice.
Yeah, so I did that for like 2 years before I had a website. Then I sold my first fitness program, Turbulence Training. Actually, it wasn't called Turbulence Training yet. It was called something else, Get Lean or something. I sold a Word document through a PayPal link to somebody for $70 on January 28th of 2001.
Your first info product?
Yes, exactly. And they contacted me because I had started writing for Men's Health magazine in 2000. So I started that newsletter in 1999, and then, this is a big lesson, everybody, I just sent it to the fitness editor, Lou Schuler of Men's Health magazine, and he's like, yeah, this is actually pretty cool. We'll put one of these things in the magazine. I'm like, what? I was 25 years old at the time, and I wrote for them on and off for 17 years. The last thing I had in Men's Health was 2017. And the reason, and this is another big takeaway, is the reason why I was able to write for the magazine is because they need to fact check stuff. So they would come back and say, hey, you said this, just want to triple check or double check. And most people wouldn't get back to them for like 5 days or 10 days. But magazine people are like the most overworked and underpaid people. They're like personal trainers. They're overworked and underpaid. And I got back to them so fast that they kept on saying, well, okay, great. This guy's easy to work with. I'm going to give him more work. Mm-hmm. So make it easy to work with you.
On that note, before you interject, I feel like your tagline on your emails now is like money or success like speed.
Success loves speed. Delay kills dreams. Success loves speed. Doesn't matter what it is. Going up and talking to that girl at the bar, or pulling the trigger on a very important decision. Like if you just sit around and hum and haw, you'll never get it. You got to go and put your stuff in front of people. You got to get your videos out. You got to do all the other stuff because your competition, the gym down the road is going to be, eventually coming up. And you got 17 gyms in your area. Somebody's going to be faster than you if you're not taking action. So success loves speed. Delay will kill your dreams. So I realized I was not going to be a strength and conditioning coach because I was very introverted at the time, and so it took a lot of energy for me to be in the room with athletes. I was wiped out by the end of the day. Even in the personal training that I did for a few years, I was up in the morning working on my online business first thing, and then I had to go train people from 6 to 11, and then a couple hour break to work out and have lunch, and then from like 3 till 7, and then home. And I tried to work at night, but I mean, by then it was like poking. Keeping my eyes open in front of a computer was like somebody was poking the glass into my eyes. It hurt so much. So I realized, okay, I got to get this done in the morning. And over time, what I did, I had this transition where when I'd make more money, I'd start cutting back on the hours in the gym. So from 35 hours a week as a personal trainer at the busiest I ever was, to then, okay, I'm gonna take out Thursday afternoon. All right, I'm gonna sacrifice a bit of income because I'm losing this much income and I'm making this much online. But I know that if I don't break the cycle, if I don't give up this income on a Thursday afternoon, then this is never gonna grow.
Right.
And when I did, I gave up that income on a Thursday afternoon. I was able to go and spend 4 hours working on my business, and it was like, oh, all of a sudden the business started to grow. So when you're growing your personal training and you're doing it as a side hustle, you got to sacrifice something else. You might have to tighten your belt for a couple weeks, but then your personal training or your gym is going to grow. You got to make that sacrifice. And so I would got Thursday afternoon, then it was Tuesday afternoon, then it was Wednesday afternoon, then it was Thursday morning, and I just started slowly and methodically getting out of the gym as the online business grew. And the more time I gave the online business, the more it grew. And so we were selling ebooks all the way up until about 2011 is when we started selling our first videos. And then we just started selling we did YouTube videos in 2007. And actually, maybe it was around 2008 or 9, I started selling DVDs.
Nice.
DVDs.
Upgrade.
But it was 2012 when I started doing follow-along, online, downloadable workout videos. So turbulence training went up, and then there was so much competition that just kind of stagnated. And I started teaching people how to sell fitness programs back in 2007. I had my first business seminar in 2007. Vince Domani was there, Mike Geary was there, all these, Alan Cosgrove was there, a lot of famous people were there in the fitness industry. And so I was coaching people, but my fitness business was just kind of stagnant because I've been selling the same thing for so long. And so I came up with these bodyweight workouts, and it allowed me to jump the fitness business up again. And so many Fit Body Bootcamp owners helped me out, like Shauna Kaminsky and Brian Calicay and Ray Ortiz and Daniel Woodrum. They were all in my turbulence training or Home Revolution bodyweight workout videos. And we sold those for a long time. And that was actually my best-selling product. And along the way, I opened up some Fit Body boot camps with Daniel and Ray. I've never visited them. I'm just a partner in them. But man, they're really great leaders, and we grew those businesses. And so I'm still in the fitness industry today as a gym owner that's never been to the gym that I own.
There you go, silent partner, just the way.
Yeah. So that's the backstory.
Awesome. Well, speaking of famous people in the fitness industry, we share a common, very close friend, mutual business partner, Bedros Keuilian. I'm curious.
Bedros.
Bedros
Keuilian,
as he formerly is referred to, but we goes by B. Between us both, tell us a backstory. How'd you guys connect? And kind of, I'm curious on how that came to be. Our audience would like to know.
Yeah. So I must have gotten on his email newsletter list probably 2008. Maybe when he was on Fitness Business Summit 2 or 3. And I'm like, okay, because I was pretty skeptical guy back then. So I was just looking for a reason to say, no, this guy's just a joke, or I don't like him or whatever. But he couldn't come up with something. It's just like, okay, he's actually putting out great stuff. And then I don't know why or who did it first. I think it was me first, but I sent him a book. I don't know why. I sent a lot of people a lot of books over the years, but I'm pretty sure I sent him a book first. I have no idea how I even got his address or got it to him or whatever. Then he sent me one back, and then the next thing you know, we started chatting. And he sent me an email and he said, I'm starting a mastermind. Do you want to join? And that was it. Like, he started a mastermind by sending me an email, and I don't know, I sent him $9,000 or $12,000 and joined his mastermind, just like that. And Vince joined as well, and there was, maybe Josh Carter was in that one. And so joined that in 2009. We hit it off really well, and a few of us decided to start another mastermind group for online fitness folks. And there was 4 instructors at the start, but eventually Bedros and I just said, these other guys are too busy, so we're just going to take it over. So we ran that from about 2010 to 2016. Then we took a little bit of time off, and then we started the Empire Mastermind, and now that we've taken some time off because he's just so busy with all the other stuff, and obviously the last year has been a little bit wacky. So that's how we met and connected, and man, we've been to Europe. We went to Scotland, England. I think that's, and then we traveled all over America. And he's actually come to my mother's house. Bedros, Di, the kids that came up in
Ontario.
Yeah, in like April of 2018 when they were up in upstate New York, and then they drove up and they actually came to my mom's house for dinner.
Look at that.
Yeah, he loves my mom, that Bedros.
Oh, what a guy. On a business note, what would you say, because I think it's fair to say, and correct me if I'm wrong, you've added a lot of value to him with blind spots in business, and then I think it's also fair to say he's done the same for you. So can you talk about that dynamic and the value you've added each other? Yeah,
so this is a really great lesson for anybody that's thinking about having a business partner. Generally, Bedros and I say don't have business partners.
Right.
There's a lot of things that can go wrong, and then you got to split the money, and a lot of people are getting a business partner because they're using it as a crutch. And oftentimes they're partnering with somebody whose strengths are their strengths. And so you have 2 people with the same strengths and the same weaknesses, and that's not a good partnership. Bedros and I were a good partnership for the mastermind coaching. First of all, because it wasn't our main business. It was something that we were doing. It was a very profitable business, but it wasn't something that we depended on. But we both worked like we owned 100% of it, which is a key with partnerships. But he had the weaknesses of discipline and structure, and I had the weaknesses of kind of like social anxiety and introverted and just not a great people person. And I actually made a video about this yesterday. I was at an event, and I went away, and I just had the event in the background. I said, listen, I learned to go from being socially anxious to being able to interact with these people. I still need breaks from time to time, but I learned it through modeling him. And so I would watch how he would come into the mastermind meeting room, because I was like, man, we would have breakfast before every meeting, and when he's like, okay, it's time to go, I'm like, oh man, now I gotta walk into this room full of people. Man, I did not like it, but I would watch him walk in, and he would get in and he'd go, how you doing, man? Hey, what's up? It's just like he'd go around the room, California cool,
Totally.
And I didn't do it very well at first, but I could then model it and almost pretend to be him. And on the flip side, so I remember there were plenty of time, like he and I have had a lot of great dinners all over America at Masterminds and stuff, and he would then go meet people after, and he'd be up and eating and drinking, and then he'd be late for breakfast in the morning, and it was because he was either up really late last night, or he's getting stuff done in the morning, and way behind, and he was just like, and I was just always on time and like always rested and everything. He's like, what's going on here? So he's got 2 pages in Man Up about that, page 54 and 55 for anybody that's keeping score at home.
There we go.
And he just explains like, he did the same thing. So instead of him going and saying, I'm going to watch how he interacts in a room full of people, don't do that at home. He's going to watch instead how I interact around my schedule. And he's like, okay, that seems crazy, but I'm going to try this or that or the other thing. And, he always wanted to have these late dinners. And I was like, let's push it up a bit. And he thought, this is crazy, going to dinner before 6 o'clock. But eventually he got to the point, he's like, I see why he does it. You can still go out to dinner and have fun with people, but then you're home by a reasonable hour, and then you can either do a little bit of work, or you can go right to sleep and get up in the morning and crush the stuff. And now he's got a morning routine that's as dialed in as anybody. And it was just that, oh, here's where I'm strong, bro. Let me help you out. And hey, man, I see where you're weak. Let me give you some tips on that. And it wasn't like formal or anything, but it was just that it was a decade of decadence where we would have some really, really great meals, but be able to share that wisdom. It was just through osmosis. Now, you can obviously do a lot faster than 10 years, and that's what our books are about.
Sure.
But that's got so many lessons in there. Like, hang around somebody who you want to be like. The old saying is, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And if you spend time with people that smoke, drink, are overweight, don't work out, you're going down that road. If you hang around people who make more money than you do, who are stronger, fitter, who are, have more faith than you do, and you want to have more faith, who have a better family than you do, I mean, you're just going to absorb the wisdom.
Yeah, amen.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely key.
So shifting gears, kind of, we talked about the coaching in your business and your business trajectory. Our audience are interested in fitness and business and being entrepreneurs. From a coaching perspective, what we do at Fit Body Bootcamp, we're a coaching business, both fitness and nutrition. You started out, your professional career kind of in the fitness coaching business, and now you've kind of transitioned to high performance coach. Can you talk a little bit about like what the coaching business is in general, and really how you've thrived and what to look out for? I think would be helpful for our audience.
Well, like what my business looks like, or what coaching looks like in general.
Coaching in general.
Coaching in general. So what coaching in general should be is a real strong focus on the basics and accountability. Like, you should be that consistent, reliable person that your clients can go to, whether you're a personal trainer, whether you're a business coach, and just say, I'm struggling with this. And they need to be able to know that they can always come to you and that you're always going to be there for them. It's so important. But you also need to be super proactive on recognizing their weaknesses and holding them accountable to doing the things that they know they want to do but won't do. And what we see all the time, you've seen this, I've seen this, is that people will say, I want to achieve this goal. And then you look at their actions and they take them in the opposite direction.
Correct.
And it's not that they mean to do it, it's just that they have this subconscious procrastination. And it's like, oh yeah, I'll get to that. I'm going to do this first. I'm going to do this first. I'm going to watch some YouTube motivational videos first before I go to my workout. Then, I got to do this before I go to work. I got to do laundry before. They're doing stuff, but they ain't doing the right stuff.
Right.
And one of my favorite stories about how I was able to help somebody with that doesn't have anything to do with fitness, but it's our friend Xander Fryer.
Oh, yeah.
And so Xander Fryer came to one of my coaching programs back in the day, and my business is not just about helping people with sales and marketing tactics. It's about, living their perfect life and all that sort of stuff. So we were talking about what he wanted in his future, and he was like, man, I'm getting success in business, but, I need to go and find the woman of my dreams. And he was staying in touch with me after that, and he was telling me what he was doing in the business and his personal life, and I watched, and I was, okay, first month went by, he was helping out one of his buddies. Second month went by, he was bachelor party for one of his buddies, best man at that guy's wedding. Okay, third month went by, now he's off helping some other, and I'm like, yo, you said you wanted this, and you're going this way, what are you doing? And he's like, man, you're right, you got me, what do I do now? And then that was when I famously told him to get public accountability, and he took that to the next level and went and did a Facebook Live to a group of 2,000 people in his business and said, I'm going to find the woman of my dreams before the end of the year. This is like in September, right? And all these people were pushing back and saying, oh man, you can't force love and all that stuff. And on the other side, he got a lot of people saying, oh, I would like you to meet my sister and my cousin and maybe my daughter or whatever. So he had some dates and nothing was working. And then he got this message from a girl in Australia. She said, I love your vibe. I know it sounds crazy. And then they had 2 Zoom dates. And then she flew over here for just after Christmas, and now they're married. 18 months later or 2 years later, they were married.
Yeah, crazy.
Power of public accountability through good coaching, through getting the information and totally understanding what does your client want to achieve. What does your client truly want to achieve, and why do they want to achieve it, right? Like, oh, I want to lose 10 pounds. Yeah, but why? Why, man? You got to go why? And then you got to figure out, well, what's stopping them, right? Because a lot of people, when they see discipline, especially in these days, or success, they think it's, oh, I got to add the cold shower here, I got to do this here, I got to, join this program, I got to add like 19 things to their thing. But it's often the removal of the destructive bomb. That there's that one thing in somebody's life, whether it is alcohol, which it was for me. Yeah, right? Like, okay, great. Bryce and Craig, they get up early, 6 days a week, and they work, and then, but boom, one thing goes off on Saturday night, right? Boom, blows up. And that destroys most people. So it's not about the addition, it's often about the subtraction of the bad thing, which allows people to then have almost automatic success. Bruce Lee has a really great quote. He says, it's not about the daily increase, but about the daily decrease. Hack away at the unessential. So a lot of people have too many activities in their day and not enough accomplishment. And it could be too many things they're trying in their fitness and not enough focus on the basics. So the coach knows the goal. They know what's stopping the person. They know why they really want to achieve that. And then you have to be there asking the right questions. Obviously, listen, anybody can give somebody a weight loss program. Anybody can give somebody a hard workout. Anybody can give somebody a diet that's pretty good and effective. But the coach, the good coach, is the person who sees, almost is able to like read between the lines. Hey, they're not consistent at this. There's something here, and I'm going to figure it out. And when you do that, and then when you are able to, I guess art and science coaching is, because you got to be able to know who responds to like tough love and like really pushing on them, and then who doesn't respond well to that and responds better to some deeper questioning or to a different way of figuring out, what's really stopping you here?
And that's a little bit of like the science and then the art of coaching.
Yeah, absolutely. Because if you take that in-your-face approach to people, to every single one of your clients, some people are going to bail on that.
Right.
Some people are going to thrive with it.
Right.
As Bedros and his Man Up project and Modern Day Night project and all that sort of stuff. Some people do not like that at all. And some people actually will get not particularly that style, but there's other programs out there where if you fail, you're labeled a failure. You're not strong enough or tough enough, and it's like, well, that defeats the whole purpose of this. So listen, we can still make that person a successful person. Maybe they just don't respond to this thing. So that's where good coaching comes in, to get the most out of every single person in the right way, and that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah. On that note, and this is something I learned from you, probably 7-8 years ago, speaking at one of B's conferences at the time, was the concept of the imposter syndrome. And it's interesting because I feel like at any coach or any new evolution in your life, it's just kind of human nature to fear that way. And for our audience who are looking to take the leap of faith into a fitness coaching business, can you talk a little bit about that imposter syndrome and how to overcome that?
Yeah. So, the thing is that you already know more than 90% of people will ever know. You've forgotten more than they will ever know. And so the question I just always ask people is do you know enough to help somebody? Yeah, you do. You do. And, one of my mentors had this phrase, in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. You can see more than the other people who need your help. And so if you can help somebody, don't let anybody's criticism stop you from going out and doing it and being of that assistance. So you are definitely capable of doing whatever it is that you want to do. If you want to go from personal trainer to Fit Body Bootcamp owner or gym owner or whatever it is owner, you can do it 100%. And I joke about this, some people take this the wrong way, but I know a lot of very dumb people that are millionaires, very successful in the fitness industry. And then I really push hard and I say, especially if you go to fitness competitions, and a lot of the winners are not necessarily the sharpest tools in the box. But thing is, it's because the people who think they're like really smart, they get their advice from a coach and then they go, I think that's good, but I know how to make that better. Whereas the people who win, they get the advice from the coach and then they do it all exactly as they are told, because the coach knows it. And then they win, and it doesn't matter if they can't even read winner. They are the ones that won, and the smart people sometimes outsmart themselves. So don't overthink, and don't think yourself out of success. Don't think yourself out of taking that big leap. I was with Tim Grover over the weekend, very successful entrepreneur, coach, speaker, personal trainer, Michael Jordan, and one of his big things in Relentless, which is a book that really, really helped me, is he just tells people, don't think. Don't think, don't overthink, don't be so overanalyzing things. So don't overanalyze it into a place where, oh man, am I really good enough to do this? Trust me, there's plenty of people that you can help, but there's also somebody who knows like half as much as you do in almost every area of life, is already out doing what you think you want to do. So just don't hold yourself back. If there's going to be a lot of obstacles in your life and in your business, don't let yourself be one of them.
Yeah, huge.
Yeah.
Last bigger topic around coaching is just the power of the mastermind. And you've had a lot of success being in them, coaching them. I've been in your Empire Mastermind, learned a lot. I feel like masterminds are, one of the biggest ways that I've been, able to achieve success. Can you talk about the power of masterminds and your experience with them?
Yeah, so I think some of the most important things about coaching groups are to be in a room of people that understand you. Because in your day-to-day, if you think like, all right, how many other business owners do I connect with every day? Every day. For most people, it's very little. I connect with a lot because I coach a lot.
Yep.
But if I didn't coach a lot of business owners, none of my family's a business owner, none of my wife's family is a business owner, none of the people that I interact with at the gym are business owners. Actually, there's one guy, he's like the 65-year-old Taekwondo instructor with a ponytail and a mustache and like a Trans Am. I talk to him once in a while. He's entertaining.
Okay.
But other than that, there's no other business owners that most of us come into day-to-day interactions. And so if that is the case, then you're on the lonely entrepreneur island. You're like, man, one of my team members, they just quit today. And everybody else will be like, well, I'd love to quit my job too. But no, that's not helpful. Or they're like, oh man, we made a lot of money today. Like, you don't want to tell that to a lot of people in this day and age because they're going to be like, oh, hey, give me some of that. Or like, well, you haven't done anything. Yeah, just give me some of that anyways. Or if you lose money, if you're having a hard time, no one's going to feel sorry for you because they're like, yeah, but last year you made a lot of money, so I don't really care. So you have nobody in your day-to-day to talk to about that stuff. Now you go to a mastermind meeting, you go to a coaching group, and you sit there around a table and you've got maybe 6 or 8 people at that table. You got 3 or 4 people that are probably making, 10% to 10 times more than you. Mm-hmm. You're going to get their advice. You got other people who could use your advice. Mm-hmm. You're going to have people in there. If you got, 1.7 kids, they got 3.1 kids. They're going to be able, here's how I run a business, and I got more kids than you. And they're going to say, man, I'm really frustrated by this. And you go like, I thought I was the only person frustrated by this. That is the power of being able to be in a room of people who share the same mindset as you, share the same struggles as you. And even if there was no guru, even if there was no Tim Grover or Bedros or any of these other people who often speak at masterminds, even if there was no, head coach there, simply being in a peer group, man, sometimes that is the most powerful stuff. And you're going to meet somebody who's like, yeah, I just hired my 10th employee. And you're like, I just hired my 5th. What the heck? How do you go from 5 to 10? Well, let me tell you how to do it. You go to this website. You're going to put video ups up here. Like, oh man, I can't even find great people. That advice there in 2-minute side conversation was worth everything. So you also have to be open to receiving information. You have to go and ask questions. But when you're in a group, in a room of people that are just on the same wavelength as you, it's one of the most important things that you can do.
It's made me a 7-figure earner, and hands down. So grateful for you for that, and obviously our audience getting to take advantage of that wisdom.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of 7-figure earner and skill sets, this is something that I've heard you speak on just in the last few months. But I had this huge aha, and let's face it, we all need to make money, and I'm just under the firm belief that if you need to make money to begin with, you might as well do it, something you're passionate about, right?
Oh, absolutely.
But there are some specific specific skills that will increase your ability to make money. So for a while you were talking about fourth, but I recently saw you, I think one of your blogs posted about the fifth money making or 7-figure empire building skill. So I have the notes listed here, but would you be so inclined to kind of give our audience the insight what those skills are and like really the value behind them?
Yeah, so we call them high income skills, and there's going to be 5 of them. So if you master one, you'll probably be able to make 7 figures. If you master all of them, this is where you're able to set your family up for a long, long time. So the first one is generally just sales, face-to-face, nose-to-nose, toes-to-toe sales. Like if you can master that, and phone sales as well. But if you can be able to sit down with somebody and listen to their problems and then say, I've got a solution for you, and get them to actually give you their credit card. Not say, I'll send the money in the mail, or not say I'll get back to you, but actually get the money from. Like that's one of the most important skills. And I know a lot of people say, I don't like sales, but sales is influence. Influence is persuasion. And we all need to influence and persuade people all the time.
Right.
From influencing your landlord to give you a better deal on your lease, to influencing your kids to brush their teeth. You're selling. In both situations, you're selling. And so sales is so key. I mean, if I could go back in time, a time machine like Marty McFly, and go back to when I was 20 years old, I would somehow force myself, no matter how hard it was, to get some type of sales job, whether it was knocking on doors, even if it was just taking orders and trying to get people to upsell the person into buying something else. Even at McDonald's, it would have been better off than the manual labor job I did to get good at selling. Because if you can do that, then you can write your own ticket. I mean, you can get, this is like, there's very, very few jobs where you can make really great money, and sales is one of them. Yeah, whether you're real estate sales, luxury car sales, whether you're yacht sales, whether you're phone sales for high ticket coaching, whatever it is, sales is key. The next one is copywriting, which is very similar because it is salesmanship in print. Now, I started out with copywriting because it was conducive to my introverted nature. I sat behind a computer, I wrote sales letters that went on sales pages. I sent out emails that sold. I then created videos that sold, scripts that sold, all of these things. And it was there's a formula and an art and science to it. Like you can have a checklist for a sales letter, but it won't work because doesn't have the emotion and the art to it. But if you can learn to do what's called copywriting, then you can also make money 24/7 by having your website up and offering products, services, whatever it is. So that's key. And I mean, copywriting is another thing that applies to every area of life. If you want to have like a really great Tinder profile or Match profile or whatever it is the kids are using these days, copywriting is key because you got to get people's attention. Then you got to get them to connect with you. And you don't necessarily have to teach them something in a Tinder profile, but you do in an email to your list. And then you have to have some type of social proof in there, and then a call to action. And that can be used in a postcard mailing for a gym. It could be used in an email to a nutrition store down the street that you want to collaborate with. Like if you just write boring corporate speak emails, they'll never convert. But you got to have if you have good copywriting, you can definitely do that.
So let me interject. How would you say, what strategy to learn how to be a copywriter? And I ask this, Craig, because if my first career before being a Fit Body Bootcamp owner, I learned how to sell. So belly to belly, I checked that box. But out of the other 4 or 5 skill sets you're going to go through, copywriting to this day, actually, and I sent you an email last week about it, is my weakest. So what would you say for a guy like me or audience who's, okay, maybe has some experience in some other realms of the high ticket skills you're talking about, but really from a strategy perspective wants to get good at copywriting?
Man, I mean, there's just so many teachers out these days. There's the classics, like, got a guy like Dan Kennedy, you got Yannick Silver, you got all these guys with courses and books. And like one of the cheapest things you can do is go to Amazon and get Dan Kennedy's The Ultimate Sales Letter. That'll give you a pretty good checklist and breakdown for it. There's all types of copywriting books out there. There's so many experts. There's YouTube channels devoted to it. But so I encourage you, first of all, to go and learn that way. Find somebody who you like as a personality and just learn from them. The other thing that you can and should do is say, I love getting these emails from whoever it is. Why don't I just really dissect their emails? Why am I reading these things? What gets me hooked into these emails? And preferably from a business that's selling you something. Like Bedros has good copywriting in his emails, and we do as well. And there's a lot of people out there doing really great email writing. So you can go and study them. So you learn a lot by observing.
Yep.
And you combine that with your more formal education. And then there's Facebook groups and there's all sorts of things, and you can go really down the rabbit hole. But what I do recommend is kind of find one mentor. Maybe you check out a few at first, then choose one and stick with them. And then don't just skim through the emails that you get. Really dissect them and say, what was it about this subject line that made me want to open this email? What was it about this opening of this email that got me to continue reading? And if you buy something from an email, what the heck made you actually buy from the email? Was it the scarcity, the urgency, the social proof, the overwhelming amount of social proof? And it's a formulaic thing that looks easy to follow at first. Your first couple of attempts will not be great, but then eventually you'll get it.
Yep.
And so selling, then copywriting. Third high income skill is speaking. And a lot of that is speaking in videos, but also speaking from stage and being able to sell in front of a group. So it's kind of a combination of selling, but just having the energy, transferring that enthusiasm to the other person, and it is definitely a learnable skill.
Totally.
Yeah, so one of the things that I recommend people to do, especially if they're absolutely terrified of video or public speaking in any way, next 30 days, here's a little challenge for you. Every day, make a 1-minute video with your phone, okay? So hold the phone up there. You don't have to necessarily post it, okay? If you actually make a good video, go ahead, post it in your Instagram stories or on your feed or something, but choose a topic. I mean, you could talk about carrots, you could talk about your favorite movie, you could talk about what you love about your kids, you could talk about what your spouse does that irritates you, you could talk about your favorite trip, where you want to go. Just talk for a minute. Just talk for a minute straight. And you'll learn how to have more confidence when you're speaking. You will also start to have fewer ums and ahs. And then that'll be the kind of the baseline. So that'll be your 30-day challenge. Then twice a week, you're gonna make a 3-minute video. So you're gonna go deeper on a topic. And if you want to use this little formula, use an attention grabber opening line, then tell a little personal story, then teach a piece of content, then talk about how that content helps somebody. Just using that's basically how I write some of my emails. That's how I do some of my video structure. And then once per week, do a 10-minute video. So that's the length of most of my YouTube videos, and go really deep on teaching a topic. And I wouldn't hold your arm up for 10 minutes, set it up on a tripod or something, but do a 10-minute video. Our mutual friend, Jason Capital, once told me that the average person speaks for 12 minutes a day. If you speak for 12 minutes a day, that's like saying if you want to go to the Olympics, swim for 12 minutes a day. You're not going to get to the Olympics swimming 12 minutes a day, and you're not going to become a great speaker speaking for 12 minutes a day. So by doing this, now we've added minutes to the day of speaking and practicing and being able to take the thoughts in our head and get them out through our mouth. And for me, it was very difficult for a long time. And then when I wrote my first book, I decided to do 100 podcasts. And since then, I've probably done 600 to 750 podcasts, including the Empire podcast. But I've definitely been on 400 shows of other people. 400 times I've been interviewed.
And let me interject on that.
Yeah.
And dude, just for our audience back home, this is one of the easiest interviews I've done in a very long time. And would it be fair to say it's just time under tension because you're so fluid?
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. And so if you think about, imagine you have a topic, right? I want to be on this podcast and I want to talk about the paleo diet or the keto diet or whatever it is. You've got one main topic. Now, if you go on there, you're going to go on at first and what your argument, your thesis is not going to be very well constructed, right? It's not going to be like the closing argument of a great lawyer. They've got practice, right? So you're going to go on there and you're going to be stunned. You're going to be like, oh man, how do I explain that better next time? And if you do a little review of your performance, you're like, okay, I realize I got to bring more energy at the start. That was one of the things I learned in my own stuff. I got to try and get a little joke in there. And if you have a couple of jokes, you can get the timing better. It's just like I describe getting better at video and getting better at podcasts and telling stories similar to like how Chris Rock creates an HBO special. Like he doesn't just wake up and go like, all right, I'm gonna go film an HBO special today. He goes down to the Comedy Cellar in New York and he bombs. He gets 50 jokes in a night. One of them works. Great. I'm gonna take that one. I'm gonna perfect that one in future shows. I'm gonna toss that other stuff, write more jokes. He comes back. Now he's got 7 jokes. Then he comes back again. He's got 14 jokes. Now I got all my material. Now I'm gonna refine it. And that's what doing podcast after podcast or video after video does for somebody. It gets you the time under tension, the strength for you to then be able to go. And now you just, like, I just flip a switch and I can talk forever, much like Bedros. Then I will actually say, like, if you go back to like the original fitness business summits, Bedros could go up without slides and any other type of prompt, and he could just talk for 60 minutes or so. When you and I first started our speaking, like we had to have notes, or I relied a lot on the PowerPoints. Now, a lot of people, what they do is they have tons of words on the PowerPoint. Maybe they read right off it. I mean, obviously you got to get away from that really quickly. Your goal, if you are going to do a PowerPoint, is to have as few of words as possible.
Punchy,
3 words on a PowerPoint, and you need to be able to talk for 60 seconds using those 3 words, and eventually you build up to that skill. But it is all a learnable skill. It allows you to build up. You also need to build up a large number of stories, examples, analogies. People love to learn by analogies. So you might do your first podcast and go, man, that was rough, it's too sciencey. I got to get some analogies to break things down. I need some more stories, case studies, social proof, because people are just listening to me say, well, this study said this and I believe this. Well, how's about I say, like, Angie did this, and when Angie did this, she had this result. Oh, I'm just
People
like Angie.
get that so much quicker.
Yeah. So you become a better storyteller. You learn how to make little connections. You are able to change your energy levels, vary your pitch, pace, and tonality, become a better speaker. And again, it's all practice. But if you just go and do them and don't reflect upon your performance, it's just like going and playing 1,000 rounds of golf. Like, yeah, you'll get better at first, but then you'll totally hit a plateau. Unless you get instruction, expert advice, and you do the brutal feedback and go, oh man, I watch some of my presentations, and everybody most people hate the sound of their own voice. Now imagine watching yourself and trying to improve that. But the greatest bands in the world do it. Like, I was told that U2 still watches their concert footage the next day to see where they can get better.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I mean, look at sports teams like, Tom Brady. The guy's, the first thing he's doing, he's watching his performance on film right after the game's done.
Yeah.
So if a guy like that can do it, why can't we?
Exactly. You have to do it if you want to get better. It's, anybody that's a competitive lifter, what do? You watch all the angles of your squat to get better. Because if you don't watch, then you're just guessing all the time.
Yeah, man, I love it. And I think just the message to you, the learning lesson here is just, connecting with Greg live on this podcast. So fluid, so easy. Storyteller asks one question and you're just kind of riffing. It's impressive. It makes my job so much easier. But again, it's just from my observation, you probably weren't always like this.
No, and one of the things that I was able to develop was the ability that was one of the things, is when you don't know what to say next, you can kind of drag out your words without saying or ah. And then you pick up and go, oh, now I know what to say. And then you pick up that thing in your head. When I first started speaking, it was like as soon as the idea popped in my head, it came out of my mouth. Now, what I'm thinking in my head is about 3 seconds in front of what actually comes out of my mouth. But I was only able to do that by doing a lot of speaking. And now I'm able to avoid those ums and ahs, be able to make the pauses that allow me to collect my thought. And sometimes when people ask me a question, I have no idea what the answer is, but I just start talking. And eventually I'm going to start talking, I'm going to start going over this, and I'll tell you what, you really need to understand this. And I'm like, oh, now I know what to say. And then I give the lesson. But my brain has just been conditioned through the practice of doing lots of podcasting and videos to be able to ramble without people noticing it's rambling until the articulation of the thought pops up properly, and then I'm able to spit it out.
Love it. Love it. I also think it also, speaking for myself, Craig, is like, it's about nerves, and I'm still getting better as this go, but I was just delivered a 3-day workshop in Chicago. It was probably my best one yet. And when you don't know the content and when you're new at speaking, you want to go quick and like the nerves catch in.
100%.
But if you slow it down, like more content comes to you, you can basically look a lot more cool, calm, and collected and deliver a way better message.
Yeah, so there's a couple of things on that. First of all, the more that you know the material, the easier it's going to be. Of course, when everybody starts out speaking, I know like when I started out speaking, when I still wanted to be that strength and conditioning coach, I was speaking at a hockey event, 1999, so I'm 24 years old. It was difficult because I knew the information, but I didn't know it so well, right? Like Mike Boyle was also speaking there. He knew his information. He had years and years of experience training hockey players. So like, total difference in the expertise level. So if you keep on going and increase your expertise, speaking becomes easier. The other thing is just understanding that nobody goes to a presentation hoping that the speaker sucks.
Right, they're all cheering you up.
Yeah, they all want you to perform really well. And they don't notice that you're actually nervous. So go up, speak to a friend, and just have fun with it. And I'll tell you what, energy and enthusiasm can overcome lack of knowledge. Like, so if you go up there and you're high energy and you're so excited to be there, people will be like, man, that was a great presentation. What was it about? I have no idea. I didn't learn anything, but it was good. And sometimes people are just looking for some entertainment. So if you have expertise and the enthusiasm, you're going to be absolutely fantastic.
World domination.
Yeah.
That's literally what a similar message that I gave to our 100 attendees, which we do these elite training workshops. These are regional trainings.
Yeah.
A lot of the same content, the same feedback. And again, it's just the energy, the enthusiasm. And of course, you teach them where they come, they were just retained a lot more.
Yeah, absolutely. And for most of us are fitness pros watching this, like if you go to a session, people want the high energy enthusiasm in a session. They don't want monotone, and even if it's like more sciencey and stuff like that, they want the energetic, enthusiastic person who makes them feel good, because they're probably coming into that session with not a lot of energy. Maybe they don't like exercise. Maybe they had a rough day. Maybe they're super tired. They know they're only there because they know they should be doing it. And if you can come and transfer some of that energy over to them, they're going to be able to get into the workout better, have an amazing session. Even if you're an expert and you're boring, eventually they'll get into the session and have a good session, but it's a whole lot better when you can bring that energy and transfer it.
Totally, and what we say at Fit Body Bootcamp is you need to train your clients.
Oh, totally.
So
totally.
All right, so Craig, so we talked about presenting, salesmanship, copywriting.
Oh, right, yeah. So the fourth one is leadership, and you don't necessarily have to be a salesperson. Leadership is sales.
It is.
But you don't have to actually be taking the credit cards and that sort of stuff in the leadership role. You can lead a team of trainers. You can lead a team of salespeople. So that's mostly what I do now. I don't do our phone sales. I don't do a lot of our coaching. I do some, but not a lot. What I do is I lead the people. And that's obviously a high income skill. If you're leading a team of people who are going out and you've replicated yourself in that, then you're going to be able to generate a lot more income. There's obviously, superstars like Matt Wilbur, who is an amazing leader. He's replicated himself on the training floor. He's replicated himself in the sales and marketing. That's allowed him to have so many locations. And now what he does is leadership. He's not doing working in the business. So leadership is key.
And you can link to, I think I interviewed Matt one of our first episodes. So if you didn't watch that episode, link to one of the first, and you can get some content straight from Matt as well.
Absolutely. And then the fifth one is investing. So now, you've learned to sell, and so you've built your income, and you've learned to do copywriting, and you've grown your income even more. And now you're able to take your salesmanship and do it through speaking, videos, online, and all that sort of stuff. And now you're doing presentations in front of 500 people, and you're getting more people into your gyms and all that sort of stuff. And now you're leading a team and you're teaching them everything that you know. And now you've got some cash, right? Now you got some cash. What are you going to do with it? Now, if like the first few years of my business career, I didn't do great things with my cash. I didn't do stupid things. I just didn't do smart things with my cash. I let a lot of it sit there too long. And so I could have done better things. I didn't do stupid things, but I could have done better things. And so obviously you want your money to go out and work as hard for you as you are working for it.
Yep.
So real estate investing, for so many reasons, understanding that there's most people think, oh, I'm going to go and buy a house and rent it out, or I'm going to go and buy a house and flip it. It's probably not the best use of your time. It's probably getting into like stuff like multifamily real estate. There may be a case for you owning the property in which your gym is in. It might not be the best idea, but it might be.
For me, I've done that once, and it's worked extremely well. But to your point, it just depends on the situation.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, you got to be really, really smart. It's not just just don't go and buy a rental property. Like, if you overpay for it, you will have made a bad investment. So there's the real estate investment side, and there's a million other things that you can invest in. But of course, at the end of the day, making sure to invest in yourself is always going to be a great investment, whether it's more leadership skills, sales skills, whatever it is. Obviously, it depends on where you are in your journey. But Warren Buffett says that investing in yourself is a great investment that you can make. And I certainly agree that it is one of the best. So I'm not an expert in investments, but I will say that it can definitely increase your wealth. And this is where you need to be around the people who know. Don't rush in to any investment deals. Do your due diligence. Don't be afraid to sound stupid and ask a lot of questions. And don't only interview one person as your financial advisor or whatever it is. You got to go and learn. And it's definitely more learning than becoming a personal trainer. But if you do have some cash, you got to learn what to do with it properly, for sure.
And really just like understand the investment, because I feel like a lot of people just jump into something because it's the hot tip of the day.
Right.
You really, before you part ways with your hard-earned dollar, should understand what you're investing in.
Yeah. So Warren Buffett has this thing called the circle of competence, and so he only invests in things where he totally understands it and he totally knows where it's going, and that's why he's able to make great investments most of the time. But even he gets them wrong from time to time. It's just like in hiring and leadership. Every company has made a bad hire. Nobody's perfect at hiring. Nobody's perfect at picking their next CEO. Like even McDonald's screwed up, 5 years ago or something. They hired a guy who got sued for sexual harassment. Like a company like that can go wrong. Everybody can go wrong. So don't beat yourself up if you make a mistake, but just understand that the more background work you've done, the better off you're going to be.
Yeah. All right, Craig, I got one key other kind of topic that I want to go through before we move to the lightning round. And I think something that you do incredibly well at, and you touched upon it with the intro, but one of them is building authority. And Dr. Cialdini wrote a book called Influence. I think you introduced me years ago. One of his 6 weapons of influence is building authority.
Yeah.
And you're on, you've written articles for Men's Health. I just feel like you've written a lot of publications that have gotten featured at big authority building websites, which then has leveraged and increased your authority. So, could you talk to our audience on basically some strategies on how to build more authority for them, get in publications, et cetera?
Yeah, well, first of all, what's really important to understand is that it doesn't take much to have some authority, right? Like if you're on the local news, the local radio, like that's enough, especially for a local fitness business. You don't need to be in Men's Health magazine or this, that, or the other thing. You just need, it's almost like that phrase, in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. Like, you just need to be up an authority level on the ladder compared to most people. If you make videos on Instagram or YouTube, most people are terrified. They'll never make a video in their entire life. The fact that you went and made a video gives you authority status. YouTube now, that's basically TV to most people. So the fact that you are making any of that video content is huge. You can manufacture your own authority, celebrity, credibility. It doesn't need to come bestowed upon you from anywhere else. I got super lucky. And then once I had the opportunity to get into Men's Health magazine at such a young age, I definitely capitalized on it. It allowed me as an introvert to make many more connections because, hey, I'm Craig Ballantyne from Men's Health. That opens a lot of doors. So you have to then think, all right, I was on the local television channel. What can I do with that? How can I use that? How can I use that to make connections with nutrition shops or massage places where they're going to be like, oh, wow, we connected with that famous trainer who's on TV. We're happy to, do some type of, have you come in and speak to our people. That's what you're looking to do with it. That's really what it is. Because if you get on the news and never do anything with it, it's worthless.
For nothing.
It's often like not believed, but there's like these stories about people that get on Oprah and they think that getting on Oprah is going to be the thing that gives them all these sales, but it's not. It's what you do with being on Oprah that gets you the sales. And so you have to leverage any credibility you have. And again, the cool thing is that you don't need as much as you think you need. You just need to use what you have better.
Speaking of Oprah, though, I think our mutual friend or someone in your influence that's introduced by B, from B to me, Cameron Harold.
Yeah. Their company was on.
Guy, yeah, and that's literally what he says. It wasn't the fact that, actually no one saw us on Oprah, like in the grand scheme of things, but we leveraged that, and that actually became a huge marketing tool for us.
Yeah, he has, Cameron Harold has a book called on PR that he just recently.
Free PR.
Free PR, yeah. I mean, listen, it's just what you make of it. And it's the same with, like now, if you know an influencer who will have you on their page, like that's key. I had Grant Cardone once answer one of my questions or, repost me or something. And I leveraged that, like just a repost from a bigger influencer. And it led to things. So one of the things that we're doing recently that can be used by everybody watching is we started doing Instagram live interviews with our clients. And we've already gotten new clients who are just watching the Instagram live. And hardly anybody actually watches an Instagram live, but we save the Instagram live and then we use it as Instagram TV. And now we give our clients a little bit of moment in the sun, but now that gives the authority. And we've got these interviews and these testimonials on social media that we can put on YouTube and we can use rerun on Instagram and all this sort of stuff. So, we are way beyond TV being the only area of authority. And so we all have a ton of channels. Just go out there, video, if you can do it, and if you are brave enough, and it doesn't take a lot of bravery to do video, but if you commit to it, you can build the authority that no one else is going to bestow on you. And you could send 500 letters to the TV station in your town. They'll never get you on. But if you put that same time into making videos, you'll get a whole lot out of it.
Golden.
Yeah.
All right, Craig, this was incredible, man. Like tons of value. I learned a lot, let alone our audience. I want to shift down to the lightning round, which is the last opportunity to give some value if you're up for it.
Yeah.
All right, so you are in the business of giving incredible advice, being a high-performing coach. What would you say is the best advice that you've ever received and why?
Man, put your ego aside and ask for help. Very difficult for me still, way more difficult years ago, but you don't know everything. Nobody knows everything. And so, you can Google things and you can read books, but getting the practical advice from somebody who's like just a few steps ahead of you, especially recently, is just go and ask for help because people love to be asked for help. And so I'm a big believer in going to masterminds and stuff like that and going to big seminars and events. But instead of hearing somebody speak on stage for a second about general topics, I'd much rather find a way, whether it's through Instagram direct messaging or talking to them after or paying them for their time. I'd rather just ask one person my specific questions because it's so specific to me. So put your ego aside and ask for help.
Beautiful. Next question that's interesting, being labeled by your clients as the most disciplined man in the world. Habits are foundational to any success. What would be a habit that you've picked up over the years that really moved the needle for you?
Getting to bed on time is probably one of the most important because if you don't get to bed on time, like everybody thinks, getting up and not hitting snooze is probably like the most important habit of to get you on the roll. But if you don't get to bed on time, it becomes very difficult to get up on time.
Uphill battle.
Yeah. So when I had my first job out of college, before it was around the personal training time, like if you go to bed late, you're going to wake up so tired and so miserable the next day, and you're going to say, I'm going to go to bed early tonight. And then, that night you're up late because of all the temptations in the world. But just get to bed on time. And trust me, like if you can't get to bed on time, I have millionaire clients who can't get to bed on time, but when they do, they're more successful. And so we're working on those basics every single day with so many of my clients still.
Awesome. Next up, passion. I feel like passion is an ingredient for success. And for the here and now and in today's day and age, what's one of the biggest things that you're passionate about and why?
One of my biggest things in terms of the business is just making life easier for people. Like there's so many ways that people make things hard on themselves. They let other people into their head. They do things the hard way. They work too many hours or they exercise too many hours when there's a scientifically proven way to shortcut it. It's not a shortcut that's like an easy button, but no, like you're gonna have to work harder in some ways to be more successful, but it's gonna take less time than you think. So I'm passionate about helping people get more results in less time.
Awesome. This is a tough one. What was your lowest entrepreneur moment and how'd you overcome it?
I would say that probably when I had my first and second anxiety attacks. So I was in the best shape of my life. I was making more money than I ever had in my life. And yet, for some reason, at age 29 or 30, I had anxiety attacks. So it was like a constant feeling of having a heart attack. It was tight chest, elevated heart rate, tingles from the top of my head down to the end of my fingertips, couldn't breathe very well. And I gave up and went to the emergency room twice because it was so intense. And I remember I was writing for Oxygen magazine at the time, and I remember I had just had one of those anxiety attacks, and I was home, and I was feeling better, and I was interviewing this fitness expert. I just remember feeling like such a hypocrite because we were talking about healthy living and all this stuff, and here I was binge drinking on the weekends and then having anxiety attacks, and I was like, I'm just so glad this person doesn't know the truth about me. And that was pretty lame and pretty weak, and so went through that for about 6-month period, then fix that sort of stuff. And then it led me to a lot of better habits, which allowed me to have much more success in life. So, as I look back, I can laugh on it now. I'm not embarrassed about it or anything. And hopefully everybody looks back on their struggles and just take the positive lesson. You can't do anything else other than take the positive lesson. I'm not one of those people who says everything happens for a reason. I don't believe that, but if everything happens, make it happen for a reason. Make there be a reason for it.
I don't believe that either, and I definitely believe what you just said, so
yeah.
Well done. All right, a couple more. Book recommendations. You've written 2 books that I've gotten a lot of value from, Unstoppable and The Perfect Day Formula, and your new book, which I also hit in the intro,
yep.
Perfect Week Formula.
Yep.
So a shameless plug for those 3.
Yep.
Aside from those, what would be a book recommendation for our audience and why?
Yeah, so I saw Tim Grover over the weekend. Tim Grover's written a couple of books. Relentless is a book that I read 3 times. I think I reread it again last year, but when I got out of the fitness industry and went fully into coaching in 2016 or 17, it wasn't easy at first because all of a sudden I stopped all of my income from fitness, which was a lot of money. And it was switching over to getting the coaching business going, and it wasn't easy. And there were days where I'd wake up and I'd be kind of down in the dumps. And so I'd read 3 pages of Relentless and I was ready to run through the wall to get to the next level. So Tim's book, and I told him this weekend, man, it was such a huge impact on me. I've bought over 600 copies of that book for people, and it's helped a tremendous amount of people. So I highly recommend that book. It's a great mindset book. It's an entertaining book.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, most people watching this probably enjoy sports. I wasn't a huge basketball fan, still not, but everybody knows Kobe and Michael, so they get a lot of value out of that one.
Yeah, I think top 3 books of all time for me, and I listened to that book probably 6 times, and the world was breaking down last year with COVID. So huge recommendation.
Yeah, I tell people to when they're going through tough times to put Man Up, Unstoppable by me, Relentless on program repeat. Just listen to them, and once you're done them all, listen to them again, and you'll ingrain those habits and mindsets into yourself. Now you got to take action and build your confidence, but those will get you out of some tough times for sure.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, Craig, 2 more. What is a unique value bomb that a fitness professional or fitness coach should know, but for whatever reason they don't, or at least they don't execute?
In business or in training or what?
It could be both.
Okay, so I really truly believe that, and I've seen this happen. I've seen people get injured in the gym in the morning because their trainer was too aggressive on exercises and they hurt their low back. So most people need to understand that the low back is at the greatest risk of injury first thing in the morning, because when you sleep at night, the discs between the bones fill up with fluid. So if you've ever seen somebody hurt their back simply by bending over, it's because they bent over and the discs were full of fluid and they got pinched, and you end up with a pinched nerve in your back or you herniated disc. That's what happens. And you're in actually much greater risk of that early in the day. So, even if you're a personal trainer who gets up at like 4 o'clock in the morning to do your workout, just be careful for your low back first thing in the morning. And usually after about a couple hours, the fluid has kind of gone out of the disc and they're back to normal size. And so you won't have as many disc injuries.
Dude, man, I have lower back issues, and it's probably because I work out first thing.
Yeah, like if somebody's waking up and like banging out crunches first thing in the morning, it's not very good for your back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, what would be your last piece of parting wisdom to our audience who's interested in fitness, business, entrepreneurship that will just better their lot in any of those?
Yeah, so so we're all chasing money and stuff, and that's cool because hey, listen, you got to have money to eat. As the old saying goes, I've been rich and I've been poor, and I'd much rather be rich than poor. But chasing money and stuff is great. And there's certainly some good stuff that comes of it. But at the end of the day, when you're 90 years old, sitting in your artificially intelligence-powered rocking chair and looking back on life, it's not going to be the money and stuff. It's going to be the people and experiences that you remember. Like if you just sit there and I say, hey, tell me about some of your best memories, they're going to be childhood memories. They're not going to be about, oh, when I bought that car. Like nobody's going to say when I bought that car, but they're going to say, oh, when I took the kids to their first trip to the lake house and they jumped off a cliff or whatever it is safely. That was one of the best memories. And so it's people and experiences, not money or stuff. And the cool thing is though, for fitness professionals, like we are in the double bonus here, because the more people we help and the more experience we give them through great workouts and stuff like that, the more money and stuff we get. So people and experiences first. And if you do it the right way, you'll get more money and stuff. And the more money and stuff you have, the more people and experiences you get to enjoy, and it's a virtuous cycle.
Boom.
Yeah.
Dude, tons of value, my friend. Thank you so much. Before we shoot, where can our audience connect with you?
Oh, I'm on Instagram all the time. Real Craig Ballantyne on Instagram. Hit me up. I'll see the direct message and respond back to you. And I'm happy to send everybody the digital copies of my books, the audiobooks, ebooks. We give them out for free because I didn't write those books not to be read or listened to, so I want to get you a copy.
Love it. Craig, man, before we shoot, I just want to thank you. I want to acknowledge you, not only for being on the show, but just for being an awesome dude and a friend and a mentor. I've learned so much from you throughout the years, and even today, there's always something new that I pick up.
Awesome.
You've had an incredible influence on my life, my business, and the circle of influence that I've been able to impact. And you send out these weekly coaching, which we were talking offline, that, man, I only respond about once every 60 days or so, but I just get so much value, but I do so I want to acknowledge and let you know that I do. And I just think that you've helped a lot of people. You've definitely helped me, and I want to acknowledge you for that, and thank you for being on the show.
Awesome, dude. You're just getting started. Best is yet to come.
You got it, brother. Well, friends, I know you got a ton of value. Assuming you did, friendly reminder to give us a like and subscribe on YouTube and write us an awesome review on iTunes that we can keep producing this content for free. That's all we got for today, and thanks again, Craig.